So we've covered a lot of different ways to play our retro games on my channel in the past, from little consoles that are pre-set up, downloads for builds, actual hard drives and whatnot. And today we have a hard drive right here that was sent to me by Chris Coolmod. The hard drive itself doesn't really matter much, but it is an Xbox Seagate drive. It is a 4 terabyte drive. And we have a pretty nice little build on here. This is his RETROBEAST mini build that is based off of a larger build that he has, where this one's kind of narrowed down just to take up less space, and it has a ton of stuff on it. He sent me this paperwork that kind of goes over all the systems and the different collections and wheels. Some of the stuff I probably can't mention that's on here, but I'm gonna do my best to show you everything that we got, as far as like some of the more interesting things, but kind of give you an overview of what we're dealing with here. When it comes to, people putting drives together and offering them out to people, everybody's going to have their opinions on that, and that's fine. I just want to take a look at this thing and give you guys my thoughts, negative, positive. I've been messing around with it for a bit lately, so I do have some thoughts on it. But as you see, we already have it plugged in, and we're going to go ahead and open the drive up, and I just want to show you a couple things real quick. So this is a plug-and-play drive, essentially. But plug and play can be deceiving. That's the way he advertises it, but it's not exactly like, hey, you plug it in and you can play. You kind of can, in all honesty. You could plug it in and just open it up and run RETROBEAST right here and play quite a few things with no issues. But there is a little bit of setup that he has listed in here that you go through. There's a lot of information here. It really only takes about 10 minutes or so. You just kind of go in order of everything that's listed. And just get things set up. So you would go through that. I already have the shortcuts on my desktop here. So the one main important thing is setting this drive to letter D, which is pretty easy to do. You don't have to touch your drive C at all. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. I've captured a lot of footage on my, actual capture card. So I'll be showing that, not just stuff on my laptop. But with a build like this that has things like, PS3, and tons of other things, more demanding arcade games, sometimes it's really gonna depend on your PC itself. He does have the minimum specs listed, and most of this stuff should run on plenty of different PCs, handheld PCs, mini PCs, a lot of stuff out there. But let's zoom up. But I do want to kind of go through what this thing entails. So there's 230 different wheels, systems, and collections. Take a look at arcade real quick. We've got all our typical stuff like MAME. The way he has this organized, he has a lot of the different systems here. Naomi, Model 3, M2, Thomas Wave, and then different categories, light guns, trackball games, and then certain companies, Toaplin, Williams, Visco, Tecmo, stuff like that. So that's the way it's kind of organized, where things are, it works fine. It works fine, but typically I like having collections separate from systems, but it's fine the way it is. If you want to look for something specific, company that you want to, play a game on, just jump in there. And then let's move on. And then as far as consoles go, there's quite a few consoles here. We've got stuff like 3DO, which, hey, we actually have a, Need for Speed on here. And it actually runs as Need for Speed, even though 3DO, most of these games suck, but you got a lot of stuff there with that. And everything I've played so far, loaded up these different ROMs, they all run. I did run into some issues with a couple systems, and when we get there, I'll talk about it. But I have all the Atari stuff here, a ColecoVision, Dreamcast Indies, Dreamcast. This is a Hyperspin setup. This is one thing that I kind of don't like is the wheel art with some of this stuff is not uniform. You have where this is all stylized, and there's a couple that are not stylized with that specific wheel. Just kind of looks weird to me, but it's not a big deal. You can scroll through, find your game, load it up, and there really isn't any weirdness with this build as far as duplicates and Chinese or Japanese ROMs, all, English and translated stuff. Duplicates, I've seen a couple, but maybe 2 or 3 where it wasn't really a duplicate. It was just 2 different wheel arts in a system. I don't know why, but I've only seen a couple instances of that. We got stuff like GameCube here. See how like all this wheel art is stylized? Like as long as the whole system is the same style, it looks clean to me. And then you'll have like the ROM list, like how many games are up there. And everything's pretty clean, you know, the videos and you know, snaps and whatnot. So that's nice. This one looked pretty clean when I scrolled through it the other day. And then all your old school stuff, Genesis. But then again, with this mini build, I'm not sure about his larger builds, but you'll have like the collections mixed in with the systems here. There is a whole other separate section for collections, but you'll find a few things like, you know, Genesis Classic Steam Edition. Oh, we also have Jaguar. How many games was in there? 57. Oh, see, like right here, this is what I was talking about. Cybermorph. You have one where the wheel art is different, and then you have one where it is the same as all the others. So I found a couple instances like that, and it looks like it's just a duplicated wheel for some reason.
Where did you learn?
Neo Geo, but then you'll see like a Neo Geo Mini collection. Neo Geo X. Then you got stuff like a Nintendo 64 disk drive. Then Nintendo 64 itself. Disk drive, what do we got in here? There's just 14 games. You got the F-Zero X expansion kit. NES. Two PlayStations, I guess the Duck Station emulator and whatever this one runs off of. PS2. See what we got in there. 466 games. Can't scroll through every single game on here, but there is quite a few. Some systems are not complete, obviously, like PS3. I highly doubt you're going to get every single PS3 game here, but there's 185. A lot of them are PSN games, like network games, and then there was a few that are just like standard PS3 games. And everything for me with this system has ran just fine on this PC. And the controls, as far as the controls, like they're pre-set up for like an Xbox controller. And I really haven't had too much of an issue other than a couple systems. Like Sega Saturn, as an example. Love playing Sega Saturn, but there's tons of Sega Saturn games here, 287. Some of the games I played just kind of, the controls were off. Like the LT button here would register as the start button. So there's been a couple systems that I had to go into the emulator and reset that stuff. But he does have like a Discord and like he could help you live and stuff like that if needed. But I already kind of know how to mess with those things, so I've fixed it on my own. But yeah, I did have a couple systems where, hey, I just went through the basic install, got this thing going, didn't do anything, just, you know, synced up an Xbox controller. And I had a couple issues with a couple systems. Sega Saturn was one of them. Got your TurboGrafx 16 and CD, 46 CD games. Some cool stuff there. Wii U, you got Xbox 360. Let's see what's in Wii U real quick. 27 games. You got the Bayonetta games. Got quite a few things here that are interesting. Not an all-encompassing setup here for 4 terabytes to have 230 different wheels and over 20,000 games. Not going to have like all these disk-based systems have everything there. And then Xbox, we have 85 games. 360. Got a lot of Xbox Live games, I think, but then there's quite a few, regular games. A lot of interesting stuff here, but just 81 games. But there's that. And then handheld games, there's a lot of stuff here that you should expect. Some things that I can't really demonstrate, or, I don't want to risk demonstrating, but, you got PSP, DS, all your basics covered here. And then you got pinball. You have a few different pinball systems here. FX2, FX3, and pinball collection. And then computer. This is the one wheel that I really don't like the way it's set up at all. To me, this is not optimal. So you're going to have stuff like Amiga, Spectrum, Commodore, stuff like that, right? Like the computer systems. the home computers. If you load it up off of the drive and you use a different style of front end instead of this hyperspin style one, it'll show like what system each of these games is for. But honestly, I hate the way that's set up right now. It should be like each system, like you go into Spectrum. But right now with this hyperspin, theme or setup, I don't know any of the systems this stuff is for at all. And even if it did show like, hey, this is Amiga or whatever, at the bottom, it should just be like, hey, I click Amiga and then the list of games are there. So I don't like this. I don't like this at all. This is very difficult to, find what you're looking for, in my opinion. That's probably my biggest complaint is the way the computer section is set up here. It should be in its own separate systems, even if it's not complete games for each system should be represented there. Collection Classics, which goes over tons of different collections. If you're looking for like, hey, I want to play a Zelda game, stuff like that. Street Fighter collection, Star Wars, your typical collection stuff. Like this is useful in my opinion. Pac-Man collection, Mortal Kombat, Marvel, Killer Instinct, of course, that Killer Instinct stuff up in here. We will be doing more in-depth, like checking stuff out with this hard drive and testing it like on different mini PCs and whatnot. Like pretty much any mini PC that I get, I'll test this out on and see what runs. Like it's a nice little setup. It has a lot of stuff here, television, Atari, GameCube, Dreamcast, Nintendo 64, all your classic stuff, PS3, Wii U. It is missing Wii. There was no Wii on here. That's a unfortunate omission for this this drive here. But yeah, we'll be checking out like specific things in the future and follow-up videos and, add-on videos, testing it on different devices. But there you go. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Bye.